Hey, what's up everyone, welcome back to our guitar lesson. In this video we're going to be learning how to play Ride the Lightning by Metallica, which is off of their second album with the same name, Ride the Lightning. So we have quite a few rhythm guitar parts to cover in this video, but we'll take care of all of them. Some are more difficult than the others, but a majority of them, they won't give you too much trouble in terms of, playing difficulty. However, for the solo, which is played by Kirk Hammett, of course, we'll take care of that in the next video because there's lots of stuff to unpack and uncover. As you know, if you know the song, you'll know that's a very long solo, and there's lots of, fast arpeggios and stuff going on, and there's, a lot of stuff going on in the solo. But in terms of the rhythm guitar parts, we'll cover all of them by the end of this video. So, with that being said, we get started off with a harmony guitar part. So, I'll teach you the higher harmony because that's what comes out more on the recording. And if you're playing by yourself, then that's the better one to play. I'll also add in a part from the lower harmony, which is the open low E string, which is played by James Hetfield. But you can still play here in the higher harmony because it still sounds good. So the higher harmony sounds like this. So as you can see, I'm hitting the open low E string between each pair of notes. So we start off with the open low E string muted. Then we're going to hit 12, 13 on the B. Then we go back to the open low E string. Then we're going to go 14 on the G to 12 on the B. So as you can see, we're playing in pairs of two. So So after that, back to low E string. Then we're gonna go 14 on the D to 11 on the G. So you have this so far. So the last one is back to the low E string, then 12 on the G to 14 on the D. So we're basically just playing pairs of two notes. So 2, 2, 2, 2, and in between we're just hitting the open low E string. So alright, so pretty simple stuff right there. And then we get into the main riff, which is also the verse for, all the verses, verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. So it sounds like this. So that's pretty, pretty simple riff, but very groovy. We're just chugging on the open low E string, so. And then in between, what we're gonna do is slide from the 5th fret power chord to the 6th fret. So just hit the 5th fret really quickly, and immediately slide up to the 6th fret. So. If you know the song, then you can feel the rhythm pretty easily. It's not too difficult to pick up. So after that, we get into the transition riff. So this riff, I call it the transition riff because it's not used in any particular section of the song. So like there's a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge. It's not used in any specific section of the song. It's just used to transition from part to part. So you're gonna see a lot within the song. So it sounds like this. Let me get back into the main riff. So it's all just power chords. So we start off with the 2nd fret of the low E string power chord. That's an F sharp power chord. Then we go to the open E power chord. Back to the F sharp. Then we go to an open A power chord. Back to the F sharp. So as you can see, we're just hitting a chord and going back to the F sharp. So we're just going back and forth. So F sharp, E, F sharp, A, F sharp again, and then we get to the last chord, which is a C power chord. So that's the 3rd fret off the A string. So after you hit the C power chord, go back to the F sharp and start the process all over again. So you do that a couple of times. Repeat it about, I think, for 8 measures, I think. Then you do the whole thing again. And then once you get to the end right here, you'll hear them just cut the chord. So the last chord is this F sharp. So once you get there, just kill it like that. Then you'll hear a pause in the recording in the song, and then you'll hear this. So they go back into the main riff, which is when James Hetfield starts singing. That's when the vocals come in. Right before that, you hear 2 chords though. So you hear this. So right before they go back into the verse, you hear that little thing. That's just the 8th fret power chord off the low E string down to the 7th fret. So just do that at the start of the verse when the vocals come in. So you do that main riff for the entire verse. So that's the entire verse taken care of, as well as the intro. Then we get to the pre-chorus, which is basically the same thing as the verse, but just lower. So it's the same riff, the same rhythm. And then we get to the chorus. So this is pretty simple. We are barring the 2nd fret off the low E string and the A string, and then we're gonna hammer on to the 4th fret on the A string, just to make it a normal power chord. So, and every time we hit that 4th fret, we're gonna accent it. So, and the rest of the time we're just straight, 8th note rhythm, just palm muting it. So basically the same thing as we did up here in the verse, like the main riff. We're just playing lower. So it's the same rhythm, just lower. That's the entire pre-chorus. Then we get to the chorus, which sounds like this. So, as you can see, the pre-chorus riff is used in the chorus as well, which is, a bit confusing, but that's pretty unique for them to do that. So we start off with the chorus. We're just going to go 4th fret power chord on the A string, then 3, then 2, then back to 4. So then what we're going to do is just chug on the open A power chord, and then back to the open chords. The second time you do this, so the second time you do that, after you chug on the open A power chord, you grab the 2nd fret on the A string, and then you jump right back to the pre-chorus riff. So this is what I mean. Second time. So you just grab the 2nd from the A string and just go back into the pre-chorus riff, and then you repeat the chorus again. So it's pretty unique of them to do that. Like a little songwriting thing that they did. They just put the pre-chorus riff in the chorus, so that's pretty cool. After that, we go into the same, same transition riff, same verse, same pre-chorus, same chorus. All the guitar parts are the same, and then we finally get to the bridge. So now the bridge consists of 2 different riffs. It sounds like they're 2 different parts of the song, but it's really just the bridge. So this is when the difficulty of the riff starts increasing, because you can clearly tell that James Hetfield takes over now, and he's famous for his difficult rhythms. So the first riff in the bridge sounds like this. Alright, so what's going on there? So first we're going to go descending in power chords. What we're going to do is hit 7 on the A string, 7th fret power chord, then 6, then 5. So after we get down to 5, what we're going to do is use our middle finger and grab the 6th fret on the low E string. So after we grab that, go down to the 4th fret, and grab the 5th fret, the 4th fret power chord, and grab the 5th fret on the low E string. So we have this so far. So after that, after you grab the 5th fret, we have this right here. So we're just gonna bar across the 2nd fret on the low E string and the A string. So 2nd fret and 3rd fret. So we have this so far. So alright. That's the last part of the riff we have. So just chugging on the open low E string, palm muted. And in between we're hitting this power chord right here, which is the 5th fret on the A and the D. So alright, so I do that for the first half of the bridge. Then we get to the second riff in the bridge, which is even harder to play because it's even faster. So that sounds like this. Then we go back to the first riff. So you just repeat that like once. The second riff. You just repeat it like once, and then you go back to the other one we just learned. So this one is a lot faster and harder. This is just chugging, doing like 16 notes on the low E string. That's the hard part about it. So we're gonna hold a C power chord right here, which is the 8th fret on the low E string. So and we're gonna check. Basically, just do 16 note rhythms on the low E string before accenting the whole chord. So do that. Then take it down to 7th fret. Do the same thing. Then 6th fret. Do the same thing. And then the 5th fret. Do the same thing. So we're just descending down. So. Alright, so 8, 7, 6, 5 on the low E string. Then we're gonna go down to 1 on the low E string. So then we're gonna go up to 3, then 6. So you just do the same rhythm on all of them. After you get to 6, then you go back. That's where the riff ends. Then you go back to the other riff. So that one. So you do that a couple of times, and then once you get, he does that riff a couple of times, and once you get halfway through the riff, when you get down to the 3rd fret, you'll notice that right before the solo they just stop. So like what he's doing there is just hitting the 3rd fret off of the A string. And that's right before the solo starts. So then we get into the riff underneath the solo. So, like I said, so far we have the intro down, the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and then the bridge. The bridge consists of 2 riffs that we just learned. And then, like I said, in the first riff, halfway through it, he stops, and that's when the solo section begins. So underneath the solo, James Hetfield is playing this. Sorry. So at the start, he plays a more simple version of what I just played. It's just the open E string power chord, and you're gonna go 0, 2 on the low E string, palm muted. Then you're gonna hit the C power chord, palm muted again. Then hit the G power chord, which is the 3rd fret off the low E string, and slide it up 2 frets. So how However, later in the solo, when the faster stuff starts coming in, to give it more of like a moving feel instead of just holding the chord, he plays more of rhythm to it. So live he changes it up a little bit, the rhythm, but you can sort of just add more hits to it and stuff. So instead of just holding the chord, just add more down, up and down to it. So instead of doing this, instead of doing that, you can do something like this. So you can do that. That's what's going on underneath the solo, and the rest of the guitar parts that go on underneath the solo, we've already looked at. You know, like the bridge, the pre-chorus. We've already looked at all that stuff that goes on underneath the solo. Then after the solo finishes, you go back into the bridge, then the transition riff and everything, and then he just goes back into a final verse, final pre-chorus, final chorus, and everything just repeats after the solo, basically. So that's basically all the rhythm guitar parts, and the next video will take care of the solo. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.